Hi, and today I am here with Lisa Cirieco. Did I get that right?
That's right. Yeah.
Yay!
Hi, Melitta.
Hi, she's the founder of the Know It All Passport, which is really a Bible for everybody here in Switzerland. Particularly, is it just the Swiss Romand part or the
It's
entire?
it's the uh, it's the whole Lake Geneva area.
Yeah, so it's really a Bible. And I remember when it was released and I was working in Geneva, and it was really like a godsend for everybody, like, wow,
Thanks.
finally we know what's going on and where to find resources. So welcome, Lisa.
Thanks very much, Melitta. It's a pleasure to be here, and congratulations on your podcast.
Thank you. Thanks, Lisa. So I'm really curious, particularly, I mean, I always ask every guest how they started their business, but having been in Geneva at the time that you were launching this, I'm really curious how, because it's a huge piece of work. What made you decide that this is something that you wanted to undertake?
Well, I have to say, let's go back to the beginning. My background is graphic design, and I had moved back and forth. I was brought up in Geneva, so I went to the international school here. My dad was with WHO. I was an expat brat, as they say. And when I came back, I found a job as a graphic designer in a edition company. So that was the first time I'd actually worked on books before, and realized I loved it, and worked on magazines as well. Absolutely loved it. And I really have always wanted to be a graphic designer. So I really followed my dream. And I have to say, also having kids as well that are growing up, and it's really hard for them to realize what they want to do in life. I was really fortunate to know at a young age what I wanted to do. And so that was really far back, but basically, all of my experience has helped me working in San Francisco with being into marketing as well. It helped me understand what I wanted to do. How did this book start? That's what everyone wants to know. So in 1999, I had two little kids at the time, and I was in the American International Women's Club, and I was asked to do a talk called Kids in Geneva. And I thought, well, I can't just go in and start talking about it. I have to write up my preferences and my recommendations, and like the best park to go to, where you can get helium balloons. And so this is back in 1998. And I honestly, there was internet, but it wasn't something we were used to at the time.
Yeah.
And you couldn't find the information. You certainly couldn't find recommendations. I mean, if you look back at websites back then, they were very factual. It was like, here's our place, here's our address, and here's our phone number, and that's about it. And so it really started off with that. And so I did a 17-page photocopy that I gave to all the participants. And I unfortunately put my phone number on the front and said to them all, there was maybe 20, 30 people there, if you have any questions in the future about anything, please get hold of me. And I started getting people calling me up, and then I got people photocopying this and sending it to other people, and it just sort of like blew into this huge thing. And I remember the aha moment was I was taking care of one of my babies at the time, 10 o'clock at night. The phone rang, and I thought, who is this? And it's this woman, like, you need to give me this information right now. And I'm like, who are you? And she's like, Bob gave me your number. And I'm like, I don't know any Bobs. And I just remember thinking, this thing has gotten out of hand. There's obviously a need. People are desperate for information, and they want recommendations. And that was my aha moment. And I thought, I'm going to write a guidebook, and I'm going to print it, and I'm going to sell it. And then the end of story. So if you don't mind me getting up, this is the very first edition here. This is the very, very, very first one. 160 pages. And this is the 11th edition, 750.
Wow.
And so, it obviously, it had a need, and it had a market, and people were really desperate to have this information. So that's really how it started.
I love that you saw a need, that you already started to plug a little bit with your 17-page document, and then people were like, we love this, but you then took the courage to take that forward. And so was it intentional? Did you realize the potential of this, or did you imagine it, or was it a bit of a case of ignorance is bliss, and if you'd known, maybe you would have thought things differently?
Yeah. I mean, yes, 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 no, no, no. I mean, it's all of the above. The thing is that I have always been a failure is an option kind of person. So my parents have brought me up very American, very confident. I can do anything. If I want to do anything, I can. There's no problem. I might not succeed, but I can do it. So failure is an option. And being brought up like that, you will throw yourself into any project and hope that you'll get to the end and it will be fantastic. And if it doesn't, then at least you learned a lot along your way and your experience. And I've always had that kind of motto. And I think this has really helped me, because I've had a lot of negative people around me who have said, you can't do that. It's not going to succeed. It's not going to be a success. Why are you spending so much time doing that? You don't need to worry about those details. Nobody's going to buy it. And I just thought, you know what? Let's give it a try. I mean, I had 2 little kids at the time. I'd stopped working in graphic design, and I thought, I love doing this. I really passionately was interested in doing the layout and the information. So, you know, where was that information from in that 160-page book originally? So what I did was, if a friend of mine from high school, Lindsay Williamson, and I did the first book together. And we did a questionnaire, and it said, we want your very first recommendation for your favorite park, your favorite gynecologist, your favorite birthday party venue, your favorite shoe store, you know, really first choice for everything. And the title of this page said, do you want to see your name in print? And then it had the questions, and at the end it said, you know, leave your name, and when we've published the book, we'll put your name in it to say that you've contributed your first thing. And so we've always had around between 200 and 300 people continually send us information for each new edition, and they've always had their name printed in it, except for the last edition because of the GDPR thing. It was just too crazy. So that's the, if nobody knows what that is, it's when you need to have a signed contract from each person to say that you're allowing them to publish their name or to have their information. So for the first 10 editions, we basically always had the list of everyone's names, and people enjoy that. So they've always sent in information saying, oh, I've just been to this great new park, this great new museum, or I was down in Nyon and there's a really good place to go to the toilet if nobody knows about it, or if you park over here, you'll get a better price. And they send us this information, and it's sort of grown on its own. So the first edition, we thought, we didn't know if we were going to do a second one. We just did the first one thinking, we just do one and see what happens. And we printed 1,000 copies. And the printer that we were using, we've always used the same printer, Imprimerie Nationale, who's no longer around. They were bought up by another company, so I can't even recommend them anymore. But Imprimerie Nationale took the first edition, and he said, 1,000 copies is too many. If you're lucky, if you sell 500. And I said, I have done my research, and I believe 1,000 copies is where we want to go. And I didn't listen to him. And we paid for it. You know, we got a little advertising, but we paid for the book. We sold out in 3 months.
Wow.
People were scratching at my door saying, I need a copy of the book. And I said, I have sold all but the one I have in my hands. And for the last probably 5 years, I finally have been able to get back a few of the first editions now, because I wanted my kids to have a complete set of books. I have 3 kids and myself, so I wanted 4 complete sets of books, and I only had 1 complete set. So we would say to people, if you bring us your first edition, we'll give you a copy of the new one for free in exchange. And people wrote to me and said, I've got the first edition, but I'm not giving it up because I've noted down all these things in it, and it's really precious to me, and it reminds me when my kids were little or whatever. Finally, after maybe 5 years, I finally was able to get a complete set for my kids as well. So that's sort of the success story of it. And that's now this is the 21st year that I've been working on Know It All Passport.
Wow, that's incredible. And there are so many things you talked about there that I'd just like to zoom in and pick up on a little
Sure.
bit. So the first is, when we start our business and we have our vision and our passion, we're all excited and we start telling people, uh, thinking that everyone's going to go, oh, that's amazing. But so often everyone's
Yeah.
really negative and they're, oh, you can't do that, or this isn't going to work, or what are
Yeah.
you thinking, just get a job. And a lot of the time that isn't really a true reflection of what they think of
Mm.
us, but more them saying, I couldn't do that, so I can't see how you can do that. They don't have your vision or passion or skill set, and
Mm.
that's what's reflecting. And I love how you manage to ignore those voices and do it anyway. So is there anything that you did to help you manage your way through that? Because even if you have this can-do attitude,
Yeah.
it
Of
still
course.
works
No, but I mean,
against
of
you.
course, it keep me awake at night thinking, well, maybe they're right. Maybe, maybe I won't succeed. But I always measure everything out. I'm not one of these people who takes unnecessary risks. So when I did the first book, I'll be very candid here. So the printer told us it was going to cost 8,000 francs to print 1,000 copies. And we didn't have 8,000 francs because Lindsay and I, we didn't want to take from our savings as well, too much. I mean, it was really, I mean, this is a long time ago, and I mean, there was a lot of money. And so I said to Lindsay, we need to get advertising in the book, and that will help pay for it. And we were able to get, I think, about 5,000 francs in advertising. So we only need to put 1,500 francs each into it, which of course we got back very rapidly. And then we went into profit. I mean, it wasn't a lot of profit, but it was a start. And a lot of people can't even say they've made profit from a book before because they print books that are novels and don't have advertising in them.
Yeah.
But I've actually helped a lot of people as well because they think I'm an editor. I'm only an editor for myself. I don't edit other people's books, but I get a lot of people calling me up and saying, I live in the area. I saw your book. Would you help me? And so we just have a little phone conversation and I tell them, these are the things that you need to think about. How much are your costs? And for you to write a book on your own doesn't cost anything but your time. And if you're passionate about it and you want to do it anyway, go ahead. And then if you can get some advertising for it, so it might just be the inside covers, that might just help you enough so that it doesn't look like you have an advertising book.
Yeah.
And the advantage with Know It All Passport is there's only 7% of the volume in advertising. So most of the pages don't have advertising. All the listings are free and they're only recommendations. I just wanted to specify that because a lot of people think that people are paying to be listed in the book. They're not. Everybody is in there for free. They have to be recommended. We have to verify the recommendation and then they're listed in there. And then we have paid advertising, which are full page or half page ads. And we've always been really strict with the screening process. And we've had a lot of people say, can we be in your book? And I say, sure. Have one of your clients email me and they'll forward me an email. And I say, no, it has to come from that client. And sometimes they've never had a client come forward because nobody wants to recommend them. And so this is really important for our clients to know that, yes, you can go on the internet now and type in that you're looking for, I don't know, some specific thing like a venue for a birthday party, but you don't know if it's been screened or not. It's just them self-promoting, So that's the difference with our book as well. Of course, things have evolved over time, and we started off very specifically for parents, and we've grown into being very broad and saying for anybody who speaks English and wants to buy our book, which is sold in Payot and Fnac and things like that are recommended by the bookstores as well, then we're very happy to continue to do the book with that knowledge. But I can't remember what the beginning of the conversation was now, what we were saying. Oh, negative people.
Yeah.
So I do think that you do have to have a thick skin. I mean, of course, at the beginning, I had people telling me no. And I realize now with hindsight that they might have been jealous.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe they would say to me, oh, I was going to do a book too. And I thought, well, Great, but what is the purpose of telling me that? I don't understand. But a lot of people very negative. So I think that you need to, before you start any project, assume that people are going to be negative. Just
Yeah.
get that out of the way already. And don't take it personally. Don't be defensive, and say to them, thank you very much for that point of view. It might be very helpful for me to think of it in those terms and help me move forward across any difficulties I might have. So if you're bringing up where you're going to get your financial support from, that is a concern. Thank you very much for that information, that question, and that's something that I'm looking into. If they say, why are you doing this? It's taking up too much of your time. You say, this is a time that I'm enjoying. I'm enjoying this process. It's a learning process. I mean, some people go to school, go to be educated at a school and learn, and I'm doing it, as they say, sur le tas in French. I don't know what that is in English.
It's learning as you go.
Learning as you go, you know. So one little example is that my brother really encouraged me last January when he came in at Christmas, and then in January he said, Lisa, you need to start a YouTube channel. And I said, why would I start a YouTube channel? Who's going to watch that? And he said, you need to start documenting all your collections and your museum that I have. Of course, this is not it here. This is my office. But, you know, if you go on my YouTube channel, you will see what I'm talking about. And I'll just plug it here. It's called Follow Lisa. So that's easy to remember. And I thought, why would I do a YouTube channel? I don't understand anything about videoing. I don't understand anything about editing videos. It's like a big project. But last year was my year between, so I wasn't working on the book, and I always look for a new project in between. And I thought, I'll give it a go. So I started looking at other people's YouTube videos and see how they managed to do it. So I was educating myself on what's out there on the market first, which I think everybody should do.
Yeah.
And because otherwise you might be reinventing the wheel, right? And so then I thought, okay, what do I actually want to talk about? And I wasn't really sure about that either. And I got really confused and I got flustered and I didn't know which way to go. And I was talking with one of my clients, and she said, why don't I come over to your house? She'd never been here before. She said, I'll come over and we'll take your telephone and we'll just video you and I'll ask you some questions. And those were the very first videos I did, which are very badly videoed, like her fingers in front of it. She's talking over me. But I've posted them as well because I feel like it was an important process for me to go through and to learn. And then all of a sudden, I started realizing what I was doing wrong. I was using a video editing program on my computer, which I'm still using, iMovie, which is free, comes with it. And I tell you, the learning curve on that was so enormous that I kept saying to people, I'm spending so much time learning how to video. And then I would video something and then I'd have to go and re-video it again. And I think a lot of people, when they're doing it, they don't go back and do it a second time because they think, well, you just have to take what you get. No, there is a way of making it better. You do have to keep pushing yourself. Yeah. But then editing it, and I thought, I have learned how to use this program. I've learned how to video. I've learned how to tell a story through these videos. And I've learned how to assemble things together. I've grouped them together. It's almost like having my book with all of its information together in a video. And the learning curve was enormous. And I did it until December. So I did it for 9 months. And I posted diligently 2 videos a week, which is enormous, a lot of work, you know. And it wasn't just a one take video. It was like lots and lots of videos grouped together and then coming up to 3 minutes in a video. So the experience I had with that last year, a lot of people were saying to me, you know, you don't need to push yourself with this. You're not getting paid for it because, of course, with YouTube, if you want to get paid for anything, you need to have it's 4,000 hours of viewing in 12 months.
Wow. Okay.
4,000, and you need 1,000 subscribers. All
Hmm.
right, at the moment, today I have 72 and I need 1,000. So I kind of gave up on the idea that it would be monetized, but I still did it because I enjoyed it. And I felt like, wow, if somebody had said to me, would you like to go back to school and learn how to do videos and edit them? I would have said yes, gladly. And I would have paid probably 3,000 francs for a class to do that. And instead, I saved 3,000 francs
Hmm.
because I did it myself, you know? So I actually feel like I have a skill that I learned last year. And a lot of people were quite negative. A lot of people were very enthusiastic at the beginning. Everyone was watching my videos, and you can see when it's being watched as well, live. Like you can see how many people are watching it as it's being watched. So somebody might say to me, I watched a video, and I go back and see when, and they haven't, because there's nobody watched that video in the last 24 hours. So, you know, it's the kind of thing I feel like it was a good learning process. Another one on top of all the other things that I've done in the past. That was a good one. Another story of success, because I have done a lot of other things that have not been successful. And I think that kind of a lot of people think, oh, Lisa's successful in everything she does because they think of the book.
Yeah.
But that's not true. You forgot about all the other things that I've done that are not successful. But one that I feel is successful is I've done a pop-up shop.
Yes.
And I've done it now 4 times. So we did 3 Christmases and we did one last summer. And this is something brand new for me. I've never done anything like that before. It was a really huge project. And it kind of came out of a need to find something other than doing the book. And I didn't know where to go with this. And I thought, I wanted to open a shop back in 2002, but the timing was really bad because I had my 3rd baby and my mother with Alzheimer's was living with me. And I went so far as to actually get a contract. And it was going to be a shop in Chavannes-Centre. And I had a contract with the center for the space. And I was going to be selling at the time imported items from the US. So back in 2002, this is still something you couldn't get. So American sheet sets, rocking chairs, probably, you know, some food items like candy and things like that as well. And
Yeah.
I had all my distributors, I'd lined everything up. And the process of actually going through it, finding people, doing my business plan, which I think a lot of people are scared by the word business plan. So that's a whole nother thing we can talk about, is going through with this and then realizing, no, stop. But I worked on that as a project without going to the end. But that project was always something I remember doing. And I thought, okay, I've spent the last 3 months preparing this. I've got two of the folders in the back here full of information, of pricing and how much the rent's going to be and how much I've got to make to make a profit, and how much material I need to have in stock and where I'm going to stock it. And I did all of this process without somebody saying to me, you need to do this. This was just me making a project. And I learned a lot, but I never ended up doing it. And then time went by. And then in 2017, I realized that I needed to find something else in my life. And I thought, what have I wanted to do? And is open a shop. But I didn't want the risk of opening a shop where you're having a rent every month to cover. I did find a place originally that would be monthly rent for 5 years, a lease. And it's so scary. I thought that I would really be an idiot if I think I could maintain that on my own. So I came up with the idea of inviting other people in my situation. So people who are looking to be creative, sell their product, they don't know where to sell it, and invite them and say, would you like to join me and in a shop? And we'll just do a temporary shop because I don't know if I can maintain, and because now we can do pop-up shops. I said, I will be representing you in the shop, so you don't need to come except for one day. And the rest of the month, you don't have to be there. You pay me a fee for your space. I don't take commission because I'm against the concept of taking commission. So I just will, you pay me your fee and that's it. And it covers everything. And I thought, if I get 10 people, I'll be happy. And we had over 110 applicants.
Wow.
We accepted 55 the first time because we didn't have space for more. And I had to rent a space through SPG. They were very nice. They showed me 2 spaces. They were okay with the idea of doing it on a 1-month basis. Of course, you're going to pay more because you're paying for 1 month instead of a lease. But because everyone was paying me, 55 people were paying me, I could afford to have this bigger space, you know? So that was really exciting. And I didn't know if I was going to do it again, but the momentum got going and everybody was like, all these creators, they were saying, you know, we want to be involved. We don't want to do Christmas markets anymore. We're sick and tired of Christmas markets, as am I, because I did Christmas markets for 15 years.
Yeah.
Because people don't realize I'm also super creative. I don't just do editing and graphic design, but I also do a lot of other stuff. But I actually feel that the shop was really great. Now in our current situation, with all the shops shut, I'm really glad that I didn't take a full-time shop and that I've only taken that 1 month at a time and I could stop afterwards.
Yeah.
So this was a learning process as well.
I love how you've continued to innovate, to not just go with a market need, but also with your own passions. And you're like, oh, I need something to do. What have I always wanted?
Yeah.
And starting from that point, because that's always going to be your biggest motivation and drive, is starting from something that you really are passionate about and care about and want to bring your talents and your vision into the marketplace in some way that serves people. And I love how you've done that. You've managed to, in fact, in all of your projects, you've involved community in some way. So the Know It All Passport was your book, but you had a partner that you did it with, and you asked people to collaborate and build that with you. Same with the pop-up shop, and maybe that was with the American shop. Why that element was missing from your other businesses. You had the collaboration, and with your YouTube, that's again, it's a collaboration.
I mean, I don't know where the YouTube's going to take me. Right now, I've put it on hold because I was too busy with other projects as well. Because I also have another project working on as well, but completely different. No, but I actually love having a project. I think the day I stop doing something is the day I die, because I love having a project, and I love graphic design still. So I try and incorporate an element of graphic design into every project I do as well. So even though I had a shop, I had to design a logo for it, and I had to write the contracts for people, and we had to do the layout. So I had to do like a layout of the floor maps. I had to buy all the tables, because when you rent a shop, it's empty.
Yes.
It's empty. People don't realize I actually have 17 tables I had to buy, and they're stored at my house.
Yeah.
You know, and all the tablecloth.
And yeah, that was just like, yeah, we're going to have a pop-up shop. And I did a shop with a little community as well, which was so much fun. But yeah, then you get there and you realize, oh, we don't have anything. So, but it's great, because then you start to get a little bit creative and inventive, and you really create something that's yours, which is nice. And
I love the research aspect of it as well.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. So one other thing that I would like to just touch on was really a question. So one thing that you've mentioned a few times, and I wonder if this is what's enabled you to go from one project to the next and to continue growing with enthusiasm, this fact that you don't seem to have this fear of failure. In fact, you seem to have this idea of like, well, if I don't try, then that's the real failure. If I don't start a new project and feel fulfilled, that's the failure in this. Do you think that would be fair to say?
I don't even think of failure, honestly. I mean, I say failure is an option, but because that's an expression that I've heard, but I actually don't think of failure. I think, let me figure this out. So maybe I'll get to the stage where I've got something that I want to do. Maybe it's the stage where I've researched, is it feasible? financially, physically, emotionally, because you have to take that into consideration as well. I mean, is the stress going to be too much for it as well? Because once I start a project, I usually go all the way with it. And the only reason I didn't do the shop originally was because I had a baby, a third baby, and my mother with Alzheimer's living with me. So I do feel like I had a good excuse to stop then. But if I had figured that it wasn't financially feasible, I wouldn't have done it. But I do think it would have worked at the time. And the center was super enthusiastic about me. And they were going to give me a special price because they said, you know, every mall has, you know, a dry cleaner and a baker and a shoe shop and a, you know, electro menager shop and all that. He said, but your shop is so unique that it would be a destination. People would want to come to our mall because you're the only one doing this.
How that was very forward thinking of them as well. How wonderful that they wanted to support you because you were different and they could see how that would be a benefit to them and the other shops.
Right. And so because we've been doing it at Planet Charmy for the last 3 Christmases, they're very enthusiastic about our shop as well. And the clients, I was shocked because the first year we did it, the second year we came back and everyone was like, we've been waiting for you. We're so glad you're back. And then last year was the 3rd year and they were like, oh, I've been waiting and I'm not buying any of my presents until you came because we want to only buy local. It's only local creators, by the way. That's also one of our theories. They said we want to buy local and we want to buy handcrafted items and we don't want to buy anything from that's imported, which I have no problem with imported items, but they were really specifically coming to our shop and some people would spend 600 francs on all their Christmas items. And some of the items were 10 francs or 20 francs. They would buy so much. We would be all in the back, like wrapping presents and labeling. And we would say, who is it for? And he'd say, it's for Jean Daniel. And so we'd write Jean Daniel on it. And then it's for Marie. And we'd write Marie on it because she wouldn't know whose present was for. And it's like, this huge bag with 2 bags full of presents. And people like that make up for all the negative people.
Yes, exactly. There's always a market. And I mean, it's crazy to think that everybody is going to be your ideal client. They're not.
They're not.
If you can focus on those ones that are, and I think what you've done there is you've created a really strong brand around a brand promise that everything is local. It's all local creators that they're supporting, and you've stuck religiously to that that standard. And it's clear throughout all of your projects. You have. It's always a risk to start your own business, but it's a very well-planned risk because you've gone through the numbers, you've gone through the feasibility, you've gone through and checked it's something that you're interested in, weighed all of those options up before deciding, okay, now I'm going to decide and commit to this. Because without that commitment, it's really hard to make anything work. The first sign of someone saying, well, have you really thought of this? You'll be like, oh, I don't know, and you'll stop. So that commitment is so important, and it's lovely to see how throughout all of your different projects you've really had that. You've well calculated what's likely to happen. You've added your passion to that. You've had your strict standards, like with your book. Okay, we're not going to have any shortcuts. Everybody has to be recommended to get in here, and we're not going to shift from that. So that's enabled you to build these powerful brands that people love. And are really loyal to, and so huge congratulations for that.
Thanks very much, Melitta. Yeah, I mean, I have to say, I think a lot of people don't understand my business concept, and a lot of these people are people with business concepts. So I'm going to tell you a little story. I went to Webster University and I said to the admissions person at the time, I would like to come and do an MBA. Because I have an undergraduate degree. I have a Bachelor of Fine Arts. And I sat down and I gave my CV. So this is back in 2006. And I put out my know-it-all passport and what all the other projects I was doing at the time. And I had a whole bunch, and they were physical projects. So I could literally put them on the table, and they were all lined up on the table. And I was like, okay, and this is like the fifth edition of this, and this is the second edition of this, and here I've done a children's book that's a bilingual children's book, and then it pops this and that, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And I'm going through all this list. And I see the guy, I take a breath, and I look up, and the guy is just looking at me, and he said, I'm going to be really honest with you. You are a square plug, and we are a round hole. And I was like, what is he saying? I don't understand. And he said, if you came and did your MBA here, we would tell you that everything that you have done is wrong. All of your business plans are wrong. This is not the method to go through this. And yet you have succeeded because you've listened to your own business plans. You have a different way of thinking. And I don't think that we are a good match for you, because we are teaching people, this is how you do a business plan. And you're not doing that. And we would tell you basically everything you've done is wrong. So I would really appreciate if you would come and do a talk for our entrepreneur class. So in the end, I never did the MBA, and I went and did a talk for the entrepreneur class. And I was really quite chuffed that they thought what I was doing was something to talk about. It's not recommended maybe, because it might not be the same way that they're teaching, but it's showing people you don't always have to do the typical agenda.
Yes.
You kind of have to go with a little bit of what you've got inside. And some people are going to think you're crazy. So what? That's going to happen. It doesn't matter. Go with what you want to go. Go with your plan. If you had a project 20 years ago and you didn't do it because of circumstances, family or whatever, why don't you go back and revisit that, update it, and see where that's going to take you? Maybe it won't take you anywhere, but that process is actually going to be really thrilling and exciting, and it might teach you something about yourself. It might make you meet new people. It might encourage you into a new project. You don't know where that's going to take you, but I think it's a shame that people get so bent up on, I'm not going to do anything because I'm afraid it's not going to work.
Yes. And I see that so many times. There are people that I meet, and every time I meet them, they tell me the same dream, but they're never taking those steps forward. And I don't know why, because they have the dream, they have the skills, they have the passion, but there's some fear. And we always make decisions based on two things. It's either driven by fear or driven by a sense of freedom, a desire for freedom in some way. And most people have this fear-driven mindset, and they're like, so
what is fear? But the fear is, you know what that's based on, is the fear that somebody is going to tell them it's not good enough.
Yes.
That's what the fear is. It's not that they don't think it's good enough. It's somebody else. I'm going to tell them right now, people are going to tell you it's not good enough. So let's just get that out of the way and just move on and figure out your project. And you never know where it's going to take you. It might not actually take you where you think it's going to go. It might take you somewhere else. Because when I wanted to do the shop originally, 18 years ago, I never thought it would have taken me to do a pop-up shop. And I didn't think the pop-up shop was going to be based on local creators. That's a completely different concept to what I was going to do originally.
Yeah.
And again, my business plan is not your normal business plan. Most people they tell me every day, you need to charge commission. You need to charge commission. You need to charge commission. And I'm like, shut up about the commission. I don't want to do it. As a creator myself, it's my project. I don't want somebody else taking a commission on my project. But if they tell me, as what I did, you're paying me paying me a flat fee for something, I'm happy to do that.
Yeah.
So if
for instance, service still.
Right, paying for my service, because I'm paying for the rent, I'm paying for the tables, I'm paying for the tablecloths, I'm paying for the electricity, the water, the cleaning, for me to be there for them on their behalf, to take the money, to give them the money afterwards. So they're paying me for that service, and they're happy to do so. And I'm not charging a lot. So my fees are really, really low, because I wanted to have more people and allow the little people in. So my fees started 130 francs for the whole month. So if somebody wanted to pay me 130 francs, they could get the smallest space in the shop and put their stuff, and that's it. And they just have to work one day with me as to assist, because I don't want to be on my own. So I always had at least one person with me. We had a schedule. And then the prices will go up if you wanted like a big table or some big space or square meter or something like that. But if somebody said, wow, 130 for 28 days
Yeah.
in a mall, you know? So that's the kind of thing people said to me, you're crazy. You can't do that. You have to charge more. Yeah, but if I charge more, I'm not going to get the little grandmother who sews little teddy bears.
Yeah.
She's
I
not
love
going to go for that.
that lesson to really prepare for people telling you you're nuts, it's not going to work, and just stick to your own guns and your own
Yeah.
model. And I love that story you shared about the Webster University, and it's great. What a great guy to recognize
Oh,
that.
I really, yeah. I mean, I have to applaud him for that, for being so honest and not getting my tuition
Yeah.
money, you know. But I have to say that's a good story. I mean, obviously I feel really great about it myself, but I think it's a good story to tell people, well, wait a minute, I have succeeded in all my different projects. I mean, not all my projects succeed, but I'm not afraid to try them. And they're not necessarily textbook business plan.
Yeah, because I see a lot of people say, well, I'm going to start this when I get my next certificate, when I do this training, when I understand this. But you learn so much more and gain so much more fulfillment from figuring it out and seeing where you get stuck and then asking for help if need be. But if you ask for, like, I always believe you could study entrepreneurship for 30 years and then you start your own business and you realize, oh, this is what I really needed to know,
Yeah.
and you still don't know everything. The only way is to really get stuck in
Mm.
and start somewhere, because where you start is never where you end up. You always learn and grow, and often we start with a small vision and then we learn, oh, I can do a lot more than I thought, because you have to push out your comfort zone, you have to learn new skills and try new things. But you'll only do that when you're kind of thrown in the situation and have to learn to swim, so to speak. And I love how everything you've just shared with us over the last half an hour or so has really illustrated that. So thank you, Lisa. Is there, before we wrap up, is there perhaps one motto that's guided you through all of this?
Yeah, it's one I've said for many, many years. Surround yourself with positive people.
Ah, I love that.
Surround yourself with positive people. And I know people think I'm saying that very lightly, but the negative people, if you let them, you will absorb their negativity. And you just need to say to them, thanks very much. I'll have coffee with you another time. But surround yourself with positive people, because those positive people will lift you up, will help you, and you can achieve anything with positivity. I'm serious. You can achieve anything. If you think you can do something, you can.
Yeah.
It sounds crazy, but you can. You know, I've just renovated a whole kitchen myself. I never thought I was going to be able to do that, but I've learned a lot about just thinking I can. Can I use a drill? Let me try. Yes, I can. Can I do silicone? Yes. Can I do tiling? Can I do this? Can I do this? Just keep trying it until you realize, actually, it's not easy, but I can do it. And if I surrounded myself with people who kept telling me, no, you can't do that. No, you can't do that. No, you can't do that. You won't get anything done.
No,
So,
very true. And I grew up with a single mum, and she would figure everything out. If the Hoover broke, she would take it apart. She had no clue what she was doing, but she would figure it out.
And actually the satisfaction as well for her.
Yes.
To have done that.
Exactly.
And she saved money.
Yeah, which was very important in those days.
But honestly, I feel the people who are curious about doing their own business, they need to talk to somebody like you, because you will be able to help them get those first 10 steps together, because a lot of people are lost. I mean, I have to say, I'm pretty much, independent and can do it myself. And I don't expect everyone to be in that way. But if they're interested in doing something, talking to you as a coach and saying, I just don't know the steps to take, then I know you will help them get that step going. And once you've got the momentum, they'll be able to go on their own. But I'm sure they've got an idea they don't dare say. They're kind of embarrassed. They think, oh, somebody's going to say it's not good enough. But I know that you will be really comforting and positive and encouraging to them.
Thank you, Lisa. And yes, it's so true. I got my business degree in an art school, actually.
Oh,
And one thing you learn in art school is you copy what works. You
yeah,
learn from the masters. And then once you've got it, then you can get creative and break things and do things
right.
however. And I think it's very much the same in business. There are certain
Mhm,
rules
mhm.
that work. You have to have a client in mind and create something for them, otherwise you have no market.
Right.
But it's incredible how many people don't think of these things.
Yeah.
So really what I love helping people with is understanding the steps to take to create that successful business, and then but make it their own, to really have their own flavor. So I never say here's your business plan, I call it a blueprint, because
Yes.
it's the outline that they then fill out in a way that's right for them, their business, their vision, and their clients as well. And it just makes sure they don't miss a part, because most people, they start a business but they've just missed a little piece of the puzzle, and
Yeah.
it's not all coming together and getting that momentum, and then they just get frustrated so quickly.
Yes.
So I really, that's my passion, is helping them not to do that, and then once they have a business, to how to then grow and accelerate that, and
Mm,
really achieve their dreams and make the difference in the world they were here to make. So
that's
thank you for
amazing.
mentioning that.
Yeah, no, honestly, that is amazing. And I think it's really important for people to know that they don't have to always see the end product, because it might change. The
Yeah,
path might
it probably
change.
will change.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much, Melitta. It was a
Thank
pleasure.
you. So people can find you on YouTube, follow Lisa,
Yeah,
and knowitallpassport.ch.
it's knowitall.ch.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
I'll pop those links in the details below so people
sure.
can click on there again. But Lisa,
Yeah.
thank you so much for
You're
sharing your
welcome,
story.
Melitta.
It's been so inspiring.
It's a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye bye.